Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is another Crooked Chicken review of the latest episode of Interview with the Vampire, episode 6, Like Angels Put in Hell by God. Now, this last episode was pretty fucking awesome. Just like all the other episodes, you know, like I've mentioned in previous videos, I am not familiar with the books or anything, so there might be some times that maybe someone can comment, fill something in for me. I did see that someone did comment and answer a question for me previously, which is really awesome. I really appreciate that. So, without further ado, let's get into the episode. This last episode picks up immediately after Lestat's assault on Louis, for Louis basically choosing Claudia over him and Lestat throwing a jealous, ragey fit and beating the shit out of Louis and completely destroying the house, and then Lestat revealing that he can fly after 20 years together and then dropping Louis from hundreds of feet up in the air and just leaving him crippled. And it takes Louis about 5 weeks to even recover the strength and the ability to walk and all these other things. I mean, Louis has to basically relearn how to walk because the beating was so severe by Lestat. They just saw this completely other side of him. They always knew that he was very jealous and just is quick to throw a tantrum or have, just be. He was always quick to have a temper, really. And so after this last fight, Lestat leaves. He is ashamed of what he's done, and obviously Louis and Claudia do not want him around for what he's done, leaving Louis in the state that he's in. Claudia is left to take care of Louis and just nurse him back to health because Louis just can't take care of himself. Claudia has to feed him, and she's helping him relearn how to walk and, recover from a broken heart as well, because even though Lestat is who he is, Louis was very brokenhearted to go through what he went through, and Lestat turn his back and walk out on him. And it's actually through all of this that there is a 10-year span, I believe, and during this whole time, Lestat is trying to basically buy his way back into their lives, showering them with gifts, calling them all the time. And, he presents them with a fucking Rolls Royce. This is back in the late 20s, early 30s, so this is a very early model Rolls Royce. He showers them with different gifts, and they actually mention that during this 10-year span that they're actually using the incinerator to burn more gifts than they are bodies. So, Lestat is very remorseful, or so it seems, about what he's done. And so he's going about it really the only way he knows how, is to just shower them with all kinds of different things. And he makes multiple attempts to gain entry back into their lives, and it's rejected on various different accounts, basically because Claudia does not trust him. She does not want him around. She sees how poisonous he is and everything. And eventually, sadly, Louis does go back to him. He is presented with a final gift. It's a song that Lestat wrote Louis with his mistress, Antoinette, and she kind of comes into play a little bit later. Louis goes to him. He's with Antoinette and, tells her to get the fuck out and unleashes on Lestat for everything he's done and everything. But in the end, he hops into bed with Lestat and they share the night together. And so Lestat is brought back into their lives. And in order to actually be in their lives, though, he has to agree to some ground rules and some stipulations to actually be in the house and everything. And one of those things is he has to reveal who his maker was and everything. So he kind of gives the background story of who his maker was and who he was when he was first turned and everything, and how he adjusted to becoming a vampire, kind of similar to Louis, where he had a hard time feeding on people, but then he just kind of gave in and became what he did. And as well as that, he has to agree not to lie to them. And as far as Antoinette is concerned, he has to kill her. He has to remove her from their lives. He can only be with Louis. He cannot have his piece of side ass anymore. So that they, like I said, they have all these different rules. Even though he agrees to these things, he still kind of finds a way to weasel around them. He presents Claudia with a severed finger with a ring on it and a news clipping claiming that Antoinette is dead. It's actually revealed later that that is not the case. She's still alive. They go on trying to be this family that they once were. Kind of a different dynamic, though. Claudia is no longer seen as a daughter vampire between them. She's actually Louis' sister now. So she's kind of their equal in a way. You know, she tries her best, but she's always very suspicious of Lestat and the things he does, because they all kind of part ways when they go on their hunts and everything. And eventually, Claudia decides that she can't do it. She has to leave again because she can't sit here and watch Louis basically being taken advantage of and being treated like crap by Lestat. Even though he made all these promises, he's still kind of back to his old ways, doing what he wants when he wants. And so she leaves, but this time she actually doesn't make it very far. She is actually on a boxcar of a train. She's kind of hiding because even though she is a vampire and she can pretty much do whatever she wants, she's still a black vampire. She is still, it's still back in the 1930s, even though it's not much different from today because people still suck. She is, she has to deal with racism and segregation and all this crap, so she just hides during that time. But Lestat tracks her down and forces her back home because the time that she's gone, Louis is a complete mess and Lestat just won't deal with it. So regardless of the fact whether or not he even likes her, which he doesn't, he drags her back home and, completely against her will, and presents her back to Louis to kind of make him happy again. So she kind of, grits her teeth and bears through the whole process. And it's during chess games that her and Lestat play. She kind of begins to understand more about him and understand the way his mind works and what she needs to do from then on. And it's during a chess game that they're playing. She's kind of playing him. She is kind of making it seem like she's giving him all of these openings, but she's really just completely fucking him over. She is messing with him and making him think that he's winning, but turns around and completely destroys him in this game. And she just kind of gets up, haha, I won, very nonchalantly. She doesn't, flaunt it like a child or anything, but she just gets up and leaves, and Lestat throws his fit and throws the pieces all over the place and screaming in French and everything. And it's during this whole game, actually, that she's telepathically communicating with Louis that she is going to find a way to kill Lestat. And Louis warns her against it, and they kind of go back and forth, but she's set on it. She wants to get rid of him. She wants him out of their lives so they can be free to live any life that they want. And she's basically comes to the conclusion that killing him is the only way to get rid of him. And the episode kind of ends there. And, so we're left with, will Claudia suffer the same fate as she did in the movie, and I assume in the books? So feel free to comment below and let me know if that's also the case, that her killing Lestat or attempting to kill him gets her killed. We flash back to the present during the interview, and Malloy, who has Parkinson's, is hooked up to a drip from a doctor who is not technically there. He's a very persistent in saying that he was never there. He doesn't want any record of him being there, so he's on Louis' call or whatever. And it's during this part of the interview he actually falls asleep because the medicine kind of takes effect and kind of knocks him out. And he has a dream of the first time that they actually met. And it's at a bar. They're having this interaction and everything. And we see Rashid, or whatever how to pronounce his name, Rashid. He is actually there. And, he looks the same as he did. So it leaves to kind of speculate, is he also a vampire? It kind of leaves into question, was that... did that actually happen, or was it just part of the dream? So, right there is where the episode actually cuts off, and so we now have to wait to find out whether or not Rashid is a vampire, or what's going on, what's his history, when did he actually come into Louis' life and everything. And we're getting further into Claudia's story and to what I believe will inevitably lead to her death after her attempt to kill Lestat and everything. And I think this will bring in other vampires who, are on their moral high horse about, if you try to kill one of our kind, then you have to die. So if that's the way they're going to go, I'm not sure. But so I'm hoping that it won't. I don't know how many episodes are in the season, so I'm hoping it won't cut off there. But, anyways, that is the breakdown for this week's episode. As always, really looking forward to the next one. This is really playing out to be a really good show. So I hope we get a handful of seasons diving further into Anne Rice's books, because this is really the only series of hers that I'm really familiar with, even a little bit. With all of that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave comments, please leave thumbs up, and if you feel so inclined, please subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. So until next time, guys, talk to you later. Bye.